I told a simple story to explain that everything in this world must be forgiven. I don't care what it is. When I met the girl who now bears my name, who is the mother of my daughter, the very first moment I met her, I knew she is going to be my wife. She didn't know it, but I knew it. I said to myself, she doesn't know it, but she is going to be my wife. We sailed for Barbados 6 months later, and she met my mother, met my family, met them all. They all loved her. That was back in 1936. In New York City, because of some archaic law, it's now passed. You couldn't get a divorce unless she was insane for 7 years, or adultery, and that's all. The Orthodox Christian churches have sewed the whole thing up so that it made life miserable and made everything simply, well, a burden to all. When I met her, I had just such an entangled background. And here's New York City, the most archaic city in the world concerning its laws. I went to bed and slept as though I were happily married to the girl who now bears my name. I did not have any physical emotion with her. Just she was sleeping there and I am here, and it's blissful. I did that for 1 solid week. Then comes a telephone call from the court one morning, telling me that I must come down to this federal court on Tuesday morning. Well, I was groggy. It was early in the morning, and in those days I didn't rise as early as I do now. And so I just said, all right, and I hung up. After I hung up, I wondered, what on earth is all this nonsense? What have I done? I must be in court. I haven't received the summons. Not a thing. I must be in court. Well, on Tuesday morning that I'm supposed to be there, I made no effort to go there. And about 9:30, the phone rang. It's the court. And they say to me, you're supposed to be here in court this morning. You meet at 10. And I said, what on earth am I supposed to be in court for? They said, well, it happens that your wife is arrested. And we thought maybe you could throw some light on the reason for her arrest. That's why we're asked you to come down. Well, I wasn't shaved. I simply threw myself into some clothes, and off I went to a taxi down to the court. And I got there just as they were bringing her in. Man whispered into the 3 judges, 1 judge's ear, that I was in the audience. The judge asked me to take you don't have to swear, but will you please take the stand and throw some light on the behavior of your wife? She tells me you've been separated now for almost 14 years. I said, yes. Is it a religious reason why you've been separated? I said, no, none whatsoever. We knew we were wrong the very first day we got married. We knew it was completely a failure. Right away. Then he read the case. She was picked up for shoplifting. They went to her home and found other things in her home. I said, what do you say for this? I said, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that really she is a shoplifter. As far as I'm concerned, she just moved under compulsion, taking into consideration her age. She's 8 years my senior, and she's passing through a certain emotional state. And do be lenient. We have a son, and he lives with me. And I don't want anything to happen to his mother that would cast any shadow on his life. He is a wonderful boy. He is in my charge by law. He is in my home, lives with me, and I don't want anything to happen to her that in any way would reflect upon my son. The judge said, in all my years on the bench, I have heard no plea by one for another who has every reason in this world to get her committed, because that in any other state would be enough for what he wants with the divorce. And yet he pleads for. He sentenced her to 6 months. And then on my plea, he suspended it. She met me on the outside and said, Neville, that was a very decent thing to do. Give me my papers. She knew I was looking for. And my dancing partner told her I was looking for to serve the papers and therefore to be scarce and move out of New York City. So she did. But she had to commit the act, and they had to call me and ask me to throw light upon that. How could I condemn her? Who was the actual cause of her shoplifting? I slept as though I were blissfully married to the girl who now bears my name. And I had to get the evidence. I had to get some reason to bring the action. And here my wife actually gave me the papers. I said, I don't have the papers with me. She said, I'm driving home to your place right now, and you can give me the papers. That's illegal, to serve your own papers. But she drove up to my hotel where I lived. I went to my room, came down to the lobby, and gave her the papers. Did my own serving. Now that is an illegal thing in this world. But then I got my divorce in the city of New York. Then I could marry the girl who now bears my name. And when I told that, I told it only to tell people of that one word, the first word on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They're all moving under compulsion. And the unseen causation is hidden from the world. They do not know who is treading in the winepress. And I was treading in the winepress to be happily married to a girl who was not then engaged to me, because I couldn't be engaged to her under the circumstances. And then my wife behaved in such a manner that it made it real and natural for me to do what I did. How can I blame her? So the first word on the cross, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. They have to do what they do.